I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV, episode number 181. What an incredible week for comics. So many great new titles this week. Existing titles that just are firing in all cylinders. We had the premiere of The Flash, and New York Comic Con is this week as well. So this may be the best week of the year. Go back and watch previous episodes.
What about the week when Guardians came out?
That was a pretty good week. Because that was that was after Comic-Con in San Diego. Well, anyway, we're going to jump right into it because I have to catch a plane to fly to New York Comic-Con. So we're recording this a little earlier than we normally do. Not by much. I'm just off. I'm off because we've been recording later than we normally do due to car accidents and reading too many books.
Jet lagged?
Yes. There's no jet lag. We're in the same time zone. So, haha. All right, my pick of the week this week is Birthright by Joshua Williamson with art by Andre Bresson. And this is just a really awesome book. It's about a young boy who goes missing, set in the present day. Kind of has a Law and Order feel to it, the first half of the book, actually the first 2/3 of the book. And we find out, I guess spoiler warning, you probably can figure this out from the solicitation and the cover perhaps, but the boy ends up being transported to another world, which is very sword and sorcery, Conan, Red Sonja-esque, and he finds... I'm not going to say anything else. I don't want to say anything else. It's just really good, and it has a really good ending of the first issue, and the artwork by Bresson is outstanding. And Joshua Williamson, again, is one of those guys who I will read anything that he writes at this point. And he's firing on all cylinders. He's doing some great work with Ghosted and Nailbiter and Captain Midnight and all kinds of stuff. So if you like Williamson's other work, if you're looking for a modern-day sword and sorcery story with a twist, then you should check out Birthright.
Yeah, and I really liked Birthright. I think I almost wish I had been able to read this kind of blank, because looking at the cover, having seen the solicitations, it's obviously there's some fantasy element. But the way the story's structured, the first chunk of it is all family drama. There's a missing kid, and it's really well done. The way the things that happen to a family when a child goes missing, and the interactions change. And then just all of a sudden this twist with the fantasy stuff was incredibly cool.
Yeah, good stuff.
Oh, yeah. New this week, we've got, over at DC, Earth 2 World's End. This is the start of DC's third weekly title. This spins out of what's been going on in Earth 2 for the past 2 years or so, and it is written by a laundry list of people. Let's just go through this.
No, don't even do it.
No,
there's like 14 names.
There's 700 people on this cover. There's four writers, a handful, 7 artists.
4 writers? Is it 4 writers?
Yeah, well, 3 writers, and then one's credited with... oh, no, it's the same. Sorry, it's 3 writers, yeah. Except it says Taylor... No, it doesn't even say Taylor. So the guy that's been writing Earth 2 was apparently...
was left out of the writer's room.
He wasn't important enough. But... the DC universe is all jacked up. You've got alternate realities going on over in Multiversity. You've got stuff at 2 or 3 different points in the future and Future's End. And in the Future's End universe, if you've been following it, at the 5 years in the future point, they talk about and reference an Earth 2 war, where the people from Earth 2 ran away from Darkseid from their reality, wound up on ours, and it didn't go well for anyone. And that's kind of a central mystery and plot of the Future's End book. Well, if you've been enjoying that part of it, you should check out World's End, because that's pretty much what we're seeing. This does a great job of bringing you up to date on what's gone on in Earth 2, both from the original stuff and over the course of the last year or so. And it also gives us jumps into the future of that timeline. And this is going to set up and show us, presumably, the end of that world, which is the Earth 2 war, them coming, which will ultimately set up the Future's End universe in our universe. So if you like kind of the classic JSA heroes, like Alan Scott Green Lantern, the Jay Garrick Flash, Huntress and Power Girl are in here, the Red Tornado, a lot of the twists in this Earth 2 are very cool. If you liked Flashpoint Batman, where Thomas Wayne was Batman, you might want to check out the World's End universe. There's some stuff.
That could be him on the cover.
That might be, it's him, yeah. So Flashpoint, God, Flashpoint was good. So Earth 2 World's End is a cool thing if you've been following the Earth 2 universe, or if you're just interested in some of these characters, or you want to see the backstory to what's been going on in the awesome Future's End book.
I think it really is going to appeal to fans of traditional DC comics.
Oh, yeah.
Fans, as you said, who are interested in the original JSA, different twists on familiar characters. And of course, it took a writing and art team of thousands to create this book. There are so many names on the cover. This is ridiculous. In fact, the only other book I can think of that had this many names or more was the Superman Batman issue that was a tribute to Jeff Loeb's son, who passed away from cancer. And you had a laundry list of artists and writers. Actually, just artists. I think Jeff Loeb wrote everything.
No, there were writers. Well, Sam wrote the plot, and then each page was done by one writer and one artist. So, like, Joss Whedon came in and wrote one page worth of dialogue and stuff.
Which was an amazing issue.
Oh, it was great. And it's so good. And they even had, like, Whedon was exclusive to Marvel at the time.
Yeah.
And they still let him in to do that one issue. The benefit went to charity. If you can track it down, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's really
25?
Cool. And I think that there were more names on that cover than this, just by a few. I could be wrong, though. All right, we'll stay in DC, in the DC universe with Batman number 35. This is the beginning of a massive story arc that is going to change everything. According to the solicitations, it's called Endgame, and Snyder and Capullo are back. They were off for the Futures End one-shot, and there was kind of a standalone issue with issue number 34. So this is the beginning of a storyline that takes place at the end or after Batman Eternal. So, I don't know how we... There's so many things...
Okay, it is after Batman...
Yeah, there's
stuff in there that happens.
There's a note in the beginning that says the story takes place after Batman Eternal.
When's Batman Eternal ending?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if DC knows.
Spoilers.
Yeah, so apparently Bruce survives Batman Eternal, and some other stuff happens. But this, I can't say too much about it without spoiling things, but there was lots of media coverage the day before it was released. There's lots of media coverage about it today. People, talking about it on social media. And it's really solid. If you want to see Batman fight all the members of the Justice League, then this is the book where you're going to find it. And there's a very cool cover. Two different covers, actually multiple covers for this, but the two primary covers are the monster variant and then the regular cover. And the regular cover, which we will show here, has
They're probably done showing.
Yeah, it's probably gone, so it's... Rewind. No. Has Batman fighting all the members of the Justice League. So, and great backup story as well by James Tynion IV and Kelly Jones.
Mm-hmm.
I love that they're bringing former Batman creators on board to do some of this work here. And there's a Kelly Jones Artist Edition that's coming out very soon. Actually, it's called a Gallery Edition because Artist Edition is trademarked IDW. But this is by DC Comics and Graffiti Design. So if you're at all a fan of Kelly Jones artwork from Batman of the 90s, 80s and 90s, he's most known, I would say, for the Nightfall, Night's End, Night.
He's known for very pointy ears on the Bats.
So I was literally talking to someone yesterday about the Gallery Edition that's coming out, and then I read this last night and was surprised to see Kelly Jones there. So great stuff, Batman 35. If you've been away from Batman for a while, if you kind of got tired of Zero Year or just haven't checked it out lately, this is a great jumping on point. Also
an awesome jumping on point is Batgirl 35. Batgirl was one of our favorite relaunches during the New 52 under the guidance of Gail Simone. And now she's gone. A new creative team has taken over and has taken the book in a new direction. The Simone Batgirl was complicated and a little on the dark side. Her life was pretty rough. Her brother's a serial killer. Her father is constantly in danger as the police chief. They brought, angst with family stuff back in. This is a little lighter feel. It almost feels like she's younger, but she's not. It's still the same Barbara, but she's going back to college. She's moving into a new place and has new friends. And this is a very kind of young feel to the book. There's a lot of texting and internet references. There's a lot of partying and boys, but there's also a lot of butt kicking with capes also going on.
There are a lot of butts.
There are butts. There's
not as many as in Sex Criminals.
We do get to see Black Canary, which actually surprised me when she showed up. It took me a second to go, wait, Dinah? That's not, and it was actually her because it didn't.
I thought it was Dinah Shore.
Yeah, I thought it was.
Yes. No one will get that reference, by the way.
No, because she was in Adam Sandler's The Hanukkah Song.
Oh. Well, there you go.
The great Dinah Shore. But yes, so Batgirl, new, check it out. Fun.
Stream of consciousness, alter ego comics.
Just shout things. But yes, this is very young, hip with it. It's a new take, or a different take on Batgirl, and it's definitely more fun. It's not as dark as the old take. So.
And I think two things that contribute to that. Number one, the artwork is very different. It's very Image Comics-esque and very Hawkeye-esque. In fact, if I had to make a comparison, I would say that Batgirl is DC's attempt at a Hawkeye level book, using a familiar character, putting them into a new situation, and relying less on capes and tights and more on brains and witty dialogue. So if that's what you're looking for, Batgirl 35 is for you. It's definitely worth checking out. Scott Snyder's a busy guy this week. He's got a new book from Image Comics called Witches, with artwork by Jock. Last time they worked together was on Batman the Black Mirror over at DC Comics. And this is the first issue in a creepy new series from Scott Snyder. What else do you need to know? Pick it up. It's a no-brainer. This is about a family that has to relocate because the daughter is viewed as... The teenage daughter, she's probably, 16, give or take, is kind of seen as crazy and may have possibly killed someone. And there are witches involved. So it's a modern interpretation of, I think, kind of the witch myth. Granted, we only have one issue to go on, but...
And it's witches with a Y.
It's witches with a Y.
So you know they got the girl power going for them.
Yes. Wait. Yes. There isn't a whole lot to say about this, because it's one issue out, but it's really good. We like it so much that we're offering a money-back guarantee here at the shop. If you pick it up and you don't like it, bring it back within 7 days, and we'll give you store credit for it, as long as it's in saleable condition. So, or like new condition, let's say that. So you have to read it like this.
Yeah, and this is the first new horror stuff from Snyder since, Severed? I mean, American Vampire, I guess, restarted.
Well, I mean, The Wake is debatable. I mean, that was more, not really horror, but yeah, I would say...
There was blood a lot in the first half, I guess, yeah. But this is creepy, moody.
Severed, yes.
Yeah.
And Jock's artwork is a big contributing factor to the creepiness and the moodiness of it, and his stuff is just so good, and he doesn't do a lot of comics work, so... Something special. Pick up Witches #1.
Speaking of something special, this week we've got Sabrina #1 from Archie Comics. And this is in the more adult line of Archie, more in line with the Afterlife with Archie stuff than your traditional Archie Comics. And this gets us everything you need to know about Serena, from her conception to her as a teenager moving into high school and stuff. And it's pretty cool. It's got a lot of... Cthulhu influence stuff, I guess, maybe. There's definitely some dark, witchy vibes going on. This is, I believe, a separate reality from the Afterlife with Archie, but tonally they're very similar. And you've got Sabrina moving to a new town with her aunts, and just like you would have seen on the show starring Melissa Joan Hart, or the cartoons, or the comics for decades before that. But very cool, very creepy. It's definitely taking a different tone, because, Afterlife with Archie... started with, it went straight to horror. In the first issue, you've got zombies and stuff. And this is much more of a slow burn. There's a bunch of things wrong, but it's not jumping out at you immediately in the first issue. You've got some, teenage angst and girls. She's trying to meet boys and stuff. But it's also a lot of darkness and witchcraft going on. Very cool, very moody piece. And exceptionally cool is you can get an Alter Ego Comics exclusive cover. Only 300 were made. It's got our cool store logo on there. And those are available at Alter Ego Comics in Lima, Ohio.
While supplies last. And I know some of you that are outside of the area may inquire about this. We've got an event coming up at the end of the month, and if we still have some available after that event, we will make them available on our website. So stay tuned. And one thing I noticed about this cover, it may go up again, I don't know. Our logo is making the same hand extension as the creepy Cthulhu guy in there. And I gotta say, we're probably the only store in the country that has that happening. I don't think anybody else has a logo like our... I know nobody else has. If anyone else sees our logo at another store, let me know so I can send a cease and desist, which I've done once before, by the way.
That wasn't a logo. That was actually the name. And they were using the logo too. That's right.
The name of the store was Alter Ego Comics, but they were using our logo, which was trademarked or copyrighted. So go to hell, people, stealing our logo. Anyway, super cool. I'm excited about it. We've never done a store exclusive cover before, so this is the first one, and we're pretty excited about it. Also, we are very excited about Pirouette #1 from Black Mask Comics. This is by our buddy Marc L. Miller, not to be confused with Mark Millar.
Mark S. Miller.
Mark S. Miller, any of the other Mark Millers that are out there. This is Marc L. Miller, where the L stands for Lima. He is born and raised in Lima, Ohio. right here where we are, and then promptly left and moved to Chicago. Marc's a great guy. In fact, we'll put a link in the notes area to an interview that I did with him about Pirouette, where he kind of gives his history of how he got into comics and all that kind of fun stuff. He's been writing, a contributing writer and editor over at the Ain't It Cool News website for 10 years, and has been writing comics for about 5 years. So this new series, Pirouette, is perfect for this time of year. Really goes well with Sabrina. It's a horror series set in a traveling circus.
Because they weren't creepy enough on their own.
Yeah. What was that movie with what's his face? James, the Robards guy. Jason Robards. No, what is that movie called? Something Wicked This Way Comes.
Okay.
That was like a traveling circus too. Have you ever seen it?
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah.
I mean, other than Macbeth.
I think a lot of it is nostalgia for me because I saw it as a kid. But anyway, that's what this makes me think of. So the main character is a teenage girl who is part of a family of circus clowns, and she really wants to be an acrobat, and the circus is kind of that kind of corrupt, creepy circus thing that you see. The characters are really good. The artwork is by Carlos Granda, who did the artwork on Marc's previous book, The Jungle Book. And I think his artwork has risen to a new level, as has Marc's writing. I think it's the best thing that Marc has written. And for those of you that are local, another cool aspect of this is that by the end of the issue, we find out that the circus's next stop is Lima, Ohio. And the main character, Pirouette, has a history in Lima, which she is unaware of, and hopefully will learn. Also want to mention that Marc will be here at Alter Ego Comics for our Halloween Comic Fest event on Saturday, October 25th, and he'll be signing copies of Pirouette #1. So I thought it was really great. It was a contender for my pick of the week this week. Check it out.
All right, and arguably, well, probably the biggest book this week is Avengers and X-Men, or Avengers.X-Men on the cover.
Dash.
It's a dot. I don't know why. Yes. Axis, which is cool because it says Axis whether you have it right side up or upside down, which means I guess there is no upside down. But this is the culmination of Rick Remender's run. It also has some stuff that fell out on Uncanny X-Men. It also has sort of some long-term stuff to do with Avengers versus X-Men. You've got...
any book that's published in the last 2 years with Avengers and X-Men in the title.
It involves that.
Yeah.
So the Red Skull, who's been running around in Uncanny with Xavier's brain in his head, which gave him powers. I don't know how he's still the Red Skull if he has Xavier's brain. Just don't think about it.
Yep.
Has become, as you can see here on the cover, Red Onslaught, which is something that was very bad for the Marvel Universe about a decade ago. More than a decade ago now.
20 years maybe.
Was it mid-90s or early 90s? Okay, 20 years. It was a long time ago.
97, 96.
Not quite 20 years. But, yes. So he is back, and the only way to stop something with that much power and that much evil and that much Nazism is to get together all the greatest heroes, the Avengers, the X-Men.
And Franklin Richards.
And Franklin.
No, Franklin Richards isn't in this issue.
That's because he's being held captive by the government over at the camp in Fantastic Four with Human Torch. The original one, the real one.
That doesn't sound like a camp I want to go to.
No, it's the one where they sent the kids where the initiative happened. Camp Hammond.
I also don't want to go to the camp that's featured in Axis.
Yeah, really. I'm just saying, dear Marvel Universe, whenever something is happening and Genosha's involved, just don't go. Nothing good ever happens in Genosha. But yeah, so if you're an Avengers fan or an X-Men fan, you deserve to check this out. We've got Falcon Cap running around. We've got depowered Thor. We've got all the Avengers and X-Men you can handle, and this is going to be the thing going on at Marvel for a bit now.
And it's weekly, I think. Because it says next week, and but anything can happen.
Wolverine was weekly.
Looking at you, Death of Wolverine, that was supposed to be weekly.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big deal. It's spawning, miniseries and crossovers and tie-ins and all kinds of stuff. And really, every character that's ever been an Avenger or an X-Man or is currently on an active X-Men or Avengers team shows up in this. With artwork by Andy Kubert. I think it's Andy or is it Adam? La la la. 7 pages in where we get to the credits. Wait, any minute now.
We want people to know
there we
what
go.
They're reading.
Adam Kubert.
Adam Kubert.
Yeah, credits like 10 pages into the book.
And letters by Chris Olagopoulos.
And it's a double page spread of credits.
Yes. Sorry, double page spread made me think about page count.
Oh.
2 things about Earth 2 World's End. This is like a 40-page book for $3, so good in there. Lots of content. I actually kept thinking I was almost done with the book, and then there were just more pages. It was very cool. And also, if you're reading regular Earth 2, you want to read World's End first, and then this week's Earth 2.
Okay.
Sometimes I forget things.
You want to hit that?
Let's hit that. Out this week is Hawkeye, Volume 3, L.A. Lady. I'm sorry, L.A. Woman. This isn't like Tiny Dancer. And this is interesting in that it collects the even-numbered issues from the last story arc, which, if you've been reading Hawkeye...
Does it have the Brian Wilson story in here?
It does have the Brian Wilson story in there. Yes. So our favorite issue of Hawkeye from the last year is in here. And this is all of the stuff with Kate on the left coast trying to make it on her own as a superhero and a private detective and meeting cool people and getting into adventures. Like Elliot Gould. Yes.
And Madam Mask.
I would almost recommend this to someone who had never read Hawkeye if it weren't for the Madam Mask stuff that's set up in the main Hawkeye book. But it's super good and very self-contained for the most part. But yes, we love Hawkeye and we love this trade.
We love Lady Hawkeye too.
That's true. She's the real Hawkeye. Clint's the pretender. Okay. He gave her the title when he was still Ronin.
All right, so no top 5 this week. I'm just going to give a quick Mark's 2 cents on the Flash pilot, which aired on Tuesday this week. Josh hasn't had a chance to see it. I can't talk. Josh hasn't had a chance.
I saw it.
See it. So I don't want to spoil too much. I will just say that
spoil as much as you want.
I thought it was awesome. I felt so much joy watching this episode. I was watching it with my 12-year-old son, and he was digging it, and we were pointing to their little Easter eggs that. Yeah, and there was something that he actually picked up on that I didn't get, which is good, I guess. My son is very smart. All kinds of cool stuff. And then I showed him, after we watched the episode, I showed him the intro to the Flash 90s TV series and had to connect the dots and be like, no, that's his dad in the show was the original Flash. And it just got very confusing. I was like, oh, and that lady, Doctor, she's going to be on the new show playing the same character. Okay. Yep.
Is Mark Hamill going to be back as the trickster?
I don't think so.
Because that I would pay to see.
I don't think so. The effects were great. The cast is excellent. I think this new guy, whatever his name is, Grant Gustin Gutenberg. I don't know who he is. The guy playing Barry Allen. Barely Allen. It's his best episode ever. The guy playing Barry Allen does a great job, but having some very talented veterans like Jesse L. Martin from Law & Order fame and Tom Cavanaugh of Ed fame just really benefits the whole kit and caboodle. It was really good. In fact, I didn't want it to end. I wanted it to be a 2-hour pilot, which we don't really get anymore. They used to do those 2-hour premieres. Well,
now if they do it, it's because it's a show that's the big show that's ending. Like How I Met Your Mother had, I think, an hour-long premiere instead of half hours in its last season.
But we posted a question on Facebook on Wednesday morning, asking fans what they thought of the show, and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. So I think it's another hit for the CW. Hopefully the ratings translate into goodness, and we get to see more Flash. And just if you have a second, go to our Facebook page and look for the post about the Flash, because there's a cool YouTube video that was also posted with the top 10 comic book Easter eggs that were in the show, and actually 1 or 2 of them I didn't catch, but I was tired. So that's it. Let us know what you thought of the Flash in the comments below. What you thought of this week's books, what you're thinking about whatever.
How do you feel about Marmalade?
Don't tell us that. You can if you want to. I personally am not a fan. You like it, don't you?
What the hell's Marmalade? It's a jam-based thing, right?
It's like an orange, jam.
With orange in it? Yeah, don't have any of that.
My dad likes it.
Is it like Vegemite?
It's not Spam.
Nutella? I don't...
We have spiraled so far out of control. All right, well, next week, hopefully I'll be able to share some insight on my adventures in New York for New York Comic Con, and we'll be talking about more cool stuff. Hit your local comic book shop up this week. You don't want to take this week off because there's so much cool stuff. And if that's us, we hope to see you soon. Thanks for watching.